This large expanse of wheat stubble field will one day be the University of Texas at Dallas. That institute formally created today in ceremonies here at what is now the Southwest Center for Advanced Studies in the northern part of Richardson. Later, between now and September 1st, the Board of Governors of SCAS will meet to formally transfer these grounds, the buildings, and $3 million in cash, total value of $14 million, to the state of Texas to be the University of Texas at Dallas. Governor Preston Smith was on hand for the occasion and formally signed the bill creating the University of Texas. In his speech, he stressed the importance of education.
Dallas, with all of its attractions, has long been without the quantity of state-supported institutions of higher education that its potential of young minds so richly deserve. Today, as your governor of this state and serving with each of you, I have the privilege of signing into law a bill that will substantially contribute to the cause and to the system of higher education in Texas. It is a measure that will soon make Dallas educational dreams educational realities.
The first use of the University of Texas will be for graduate students beginning this fall. Then, by 1975, junior and senior students will be admitted as well as graduate students. This was the bill that was signed today, a compromise between a four-year institution as first created by the legislature and what Governor Smith said he would sign. However, by the next legislative session, it is expected that the legislature will again pass a University of Texas bill, this time creating a four-year institution as they had tried to do this year. Speaking of difficulties between the legislature and the governor, there was an impromptu news conference on the governor's arrival here, at which we asked him what his intentions are concerning the one-year budget approved by the legislature.
Well, you know, under our Constitution, we have to operate on a cash basis, and the comptroller is charged with the responsibility of estimating the amount of cash. And he came up Wednesday with a $16 million shortage if we took the teacher pay and the one-year bill both. Now, since then, I understand that there's been some revisions made, and perhaps they're getting close to certification of both bills, but I don't know what could be done about it. I could, you know, veto a lot of items out of the appropriation bill.
Would you?
I doubt it.
Governor, there's a strong rumor today that the special session will be called sometime between July 7th and July 15th. Can you confirm that?
I would say that it'll be called between now and August the 1st.
And for what purpose will you call that?
Well, for the purpose of passing some legislation at this stage is needed. In the event we have to have a special session, and I don't think it's a question of we're going to have to. If we have to have one for this year, well, it'll be called between now and the 1st of August.
Rosser McDonald, Channel 8 News.
There has been very little mail coming out of Vietnam, North Vietnam, from our U.S. servicemen there. Of the more than 1,300 whom we list as either prisoners or missing in action, less than 100 have been allowed to write in the past 5 years. And of those 100 who have written, most of them have only been allowed to write very few letters, something less than 2 letters per year. The Geneva Convention spells out that a prisoner should be allowed to write 2 letters and 4 cards a month. If those 100 prisoners who had been allowed to write had been allowed to write those 2 letters and 4 cards a month, they alone would have sent out 18,000 letters and cards during their time of captivity. But we've only had something around 600 letters and cards.
Here in the United States, the most powerful nation in the world and the richest, instead of using this wealth, for good, for humanity, we seem to be building more bombs, more death, more destruction, more gases. And this is very painful. The cost of speaking out is going up. And I have spoken out in the past, and I've had some threats, but they were tolerable. But when they're made toward my children, which some have been, I don't know that I can put my children through that. In this community, in the whole nation, I think we have to face this question: what do you do? Do you leave, or do you stay and fight? Or how much do you owe your children or your husband? Or how much should you risk to fight? I don't know. I feel very guilt-ridden about this question. Maybe I'm not as brave as I ought to be, and maybe that's why I choose Mexico, but I think it's a very serious question. And in Germany, or any totalitarian state, I think people left who didn't like the smell of Auschwitz. But should they should have stayed and fought the good fight. And I think that's just a very serious question for everybody.
Real good powers over there on